What is going on, everybody? It's Jay, aka it's long form commentary story here, back with another Phantom Parade video. And it's been a while since I've done a video in this vein, which is kind of just talking about units in a meta analytical lens. And since the anniversary units are going to be rerunning very, very soon, I'm like, it's kind of the perfect time to bring this long form commentary type of video back where you don't really have to pay attention to the screen. You can put me to the side, put me in your pocket. If you're on your desk, open a new tab, just listen to me yap about the game's meta at the moment and if you should be pulling for YUJI or TODO. Now, mind you, take this advice, as you will, all right? You guys all have different types of boxes. Not everybody's going to have every unit in the game. Not everybody's going to have the best supports for red. Not everybody's going to have the best supports for green. It's a give or a take, right? So when I'm giving you this advice, please make sure you analyze your own box and adjust to your own needs. And that's the best way I will put it, because there isn't a universal, one trick to make your box a billion times better. Yes, there are units in the game that I believe will amplify your box way more than others, but there isn't just one answer to everything in Phantom Parade. It's pretty open-ended if you just have the proper supports. But in this video, we do just have one of the straight up rawest DPSs in the game. And we do have a DPS unit that a lot of people, think he was a support at first. But he does have support options alongside being a heavy damage dealer. And it shows because he's aged very, very, very well after this, I would say 7-8 months. Actually, I would say, 8 month, almost 9 month period of us having these units on global. So I will say, first we'll start with Max G. So the thing that comes with Max G is that he is without a doubt the best unit given within his category. Red Taijutsu has no direct rival for this guy in terms of his pinnacle, right? There are steps down to Max G that can indeed clear other content in the same vein, right? So you have like Toji. Toji operates just well enough to clear all content in the game, given a proper team just like Max G. It's just the fact that if you were to use main DPS Max G, he would run circles around Toji. And that's a weird thing about Phantom Parade's meta, is that you will have units that will run circles around their second best, and yet the best isn't the necessity factor, which is crazy to think about. That we're at a point where, like, yes, the unit could be the best in their given, specialization, but they're not a unit that you must pull for whatsoever. In fact, in the same anniversary bundle of units, obviously YUJI, TODO, Sukuna, and Mahito, the red unit you should have been aiming for is Mahito, because even though Mahito starts out as a Jujutsu fighter for majority of the time that you'll be using him, once he hits that transformation state, you can use him on Taijutsu content because you have that hybrid damage dealing. The amount of times I've helped people clear floor 83 just by saying, hey, you may not have Maxi, but you do have Mahito and you do have Toji. You can work it out. You just got to get Mahito to transform and you got to have Toji do his work. There's characters that can fill in the gap that Max G kind of leaves when you don't have him in your box. Because mind you, he does fulfill a lot of, minor niches outside of just being an amazing damage dealer. He's one of the only units in the game with a 2100% ultimate, which is ridiculous. He has an amazing passive. Like Curse Energy Boost and obviously Assert Exorcism is one of the best passives in the game. It really does reward you just for going back to back slamming on bosses. And also the fact that he does have, team protection based mechanics in his kit. He has dodge and he has provocation. So not only does it assist his own core game plan because he's giving himself curse energy when he does dodge, he's taking the attention off his team. He also has a skill too that alongside taking that attention off his team, he's also boosting their defense, which is really, really nice. So all in all, Max G is one of those units where it's like, hey, we'll just go to Illusory Tower real quick and just look at it. Because the Taijutsu content sphere, this will be your rough spot, right? Max G on here, he was kind of like that guy. Like back when these floors first dropped, you know, it was already tough enough with him. But again, as content evolves, the meta changes a little bit. You know, we have more support options to work with. More supports are rerunning. You know, these underdog options, as you could say, that aren't really underdog because we know how strong some of these standard units can be. They work out just fine in his place. And even then, you know, we go to the lower tower floors, like we have 72, I believe, right? I mean, Maxi can nuke this into oblivion, but at the same time, when these floors first came out, I mean, we were already taking this out with Toji. So again, we always back up straight to Toji. Like, there's a lot of content where the answer is just like, you could just kind of throw Toji at it and call it a day for the most part, right? And I mean, even on floor 62, AoE stage, for the people that are stuck here, I mean, I had to make that little pseudo Max G guide for this floor when you're like basically homeless. And even then, Toji played an important part in that clear, if I remember correctly. So he's not really a super necessary figure. You just need supports, which is why when it comes to recommending people units in Phantom Parade, I'm not really going to jump and be like, all right, guys, we got to get all the DPS units, all the heavy hitters, because it's all about the supports. You can have the greatest heavy hitters in the entire game, and they'll just look completely washed if you don't have the proper supports. And if you guys have been watching my summer unit showcase, you will see, like, if you swap up the support catalog for a given DPS unit, their damage numbers are going to fluctuate hugely, right? And even on sweep, I mean, this boss is annihilated by Maxi, but then again, you smack any other, you know, DPS unit alongside any of the other modern supports, you're also just kind of gonna walk all over this boss as well. So the only major niche I give Maxi, and I'm saying heavy niche, like where is it here? Hold on, wait, it might just be here. Yes. Okay, so we have the EX battle, like EX15 Mahito, like back then, where like you did like the survivability strat where you would hit Mahito with skill 2, you would boost the team's defense. Yuji was able to eat Mahito's hits and sometimes dodge. You know, he has those little niches. Sometimes you can use that dodge mechanic and that defense boosting mechanic for the team to your advantage to stall out some fights. Now, mind you, that's not really a reliable strategy for the hardest given content in the game, but it is a unique perspective, right? You know, not everything has to be, okay, what is this character doing on 83? Because as much as I want to focus on the hardest content in the game, not everybody that watches the channel or who's going to stumble on this video is on the most difficult content in the game. So it's important to look at the nuance of everything, right? We have to look at every perspective in order to really fully judge a unit. And on top of that, we still have more content to look at because we also have the limited tower floors, where I would say for Red, it hasn't really been focused on single target fights for the most part. I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, did we have a red fight this month? Like this was yellow, this was blue, this was green, this was blue, this was green. Okay, so we didn't have any red limited tower floors this month in the first place, but the previous ones that were red were Jujutsu leaning because of Kenjaku, obviously, and they were also, you know, multiple bosses. So they relied on AoE units, or it just made it easier to use an AoE unit. I mean, I remember, I think it was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I don't remember off the top of my head, we had a tower floor that was 2 bosses, and I chose to use Toji over using Maxi because it was just, I guess you could say, an easier run. Like, obviously his ultimate is hitting both bosses. So even though Maxi is that guy, like, don't get me wrong, on a damage per damage basis, like, he is skyrocketing himself above any other red taijutsu option, you do just have Toji. And you do just have the red support catalog to make Toji that guy still, without a shadow of a doubt. So is Maxi like a must summon unit? Of course not. Of course not. Even when Maxi first released, you know, he wasn't a must summon unit because all the content given in the game that existed could have been cleared without him if you had the proper support, which is why every time I have, you know, these discussions with all of you about DPS units, some of y'all are underwhelmed by certain DPS units, or you don't understand how I'm able to produce so much damage in comparison to you, it's because of the supports. Like, you're not going to have a goated DPS without a goated support lineup. That's just the name of the game in Phantom Parade. Keep that in mind. I don't care who the DPS unit is. We can go from Max G to Kenjaku to 0.2 Gojo. It don't matter unless you got a good support lineup for end game content, which is why I always say go for the supports. The standard supports are broken in the game. I mean, a lot of people shot to go for Momo, which I completely understand because she also amplified like the entire red box by a lot. Even though Yaga can do what he does really well, Momo just has the benefit of what Blue Yaga and a lot of other supports in 2026 has, which is no downturn. Because she has an ultimate that also supplies her core stat buffs, there's no downturns. In comparison to Yaga, who we have the stat buffs, but the ultimate's not giving us that. So we have downturn. Which is why I tell y'all, supports. You gotta go for it. And even, yeah, like by A14 Nanami. Listen, guys, I got him off a single. Let's not be crazy. We got the A4 off a single. Let's not be ridiculous. But still, this guy is phenomenal, but he can get the job done. I wouldn't say on a budget because, again, you do need some pretty nice supports to get the job done, but I feel like that's what you should be aiming for in the first place whenever you are summoning. So Maxi is nowhere near priority summon, especially when you see him bundled up with all of these other units. We have Todo, we have Sukuna, we have Mahito, we have 0.2 Gojo coming, and I don't believe that Maxi is the strongest pick out of them all to choose specifically, right? I feel like the pure DPS types aren't the ones that you should be like hard targeting your cubes for. Now, mind you, if you want to summon from Maxi, that's cool. But if you're missing things in your box, you should be prioritizing filling in the things that you are missing, then seeing if you can double back, go to Maxi, maybe pull him, benefit off of having a cool, really strong Taijutsu DPS, right? But he's not the must-have. He's not the unit to like hard prioritize at the moment, no matter how goated he is, right? So that's just my take on Maxi. I mean, again, he's flat out one of the strongest units in the game. Like on a damage basis, he just is. Like he hits like a truck, no matter what. And almost no matter team comp, like no matter the team comp even. As long as you just have the damage formula locked in, he's still hitting numbers. Like even on the worst setups, like I see people who have Maxi and they don't have a proper support lineup and he's still able to produce pretty decent numbers. So just keep that in mind, all right? The support lineup is more important at the moment because the standards get the job done. And even thinking about content, like for example, we had the Calamity event, right? And it was green, and apparently the next one is going to be blue. And I feel like obviously we're going to go through all the colors most likely. I mean, Maxi is going to play an important part in that hypothetical future red Calamity event. But so could Toji. AoE, hit all three heads at the exact same time on a fat ultimate. It's a thing that exists. It's something that we have to take into consideration, but that's a lot of hypotheticals. Focus on your supports. Your standard DPSs are fine at the moment with investment. Your Momos, your Rapid Escape Megamis, your Teen Nanamis, all of those, right? I mean, even if you're on a budget and you're using red Inumaki sometimes, stuff like that. Or even you're just SR support from day one. You got to invest in those to get a proper team rolling. And even then, you could do it all with Toji. Or, shout out Nimble Body Yuji. Can't forget about him. But at the same time, when you're looking at Maxi, you have to look back and be like, all right, there's another red unit that you should prioritize that you can use in both Jujutsu and Taijutsu content. So this is the key. This is the key. The support unit that you can use as a sub DPS or even a main DPS on Jujutsu and Taijutsu content. You want more accessibility to your box. Mahito is like a box progression, right? Yuji is like the cherry on top. Like, oh my goodness, this is phenomenal, right? You can have your cake and eat it if you get both, right? But if you had to choose one over the other, I mean, Mahito over Max G, for sure. Even though my GOAT is A4. Like, I'm going to glaze the GOAT, but I'm going to be reasonable with y'all and what you should be going for. So, just keep that in mind. That's all. And next we got TODO. Listen, I feel like I fight wars over this unit over the span of the past couple of months, and even the last time I live streamed, I felt like I was fighting like a war against my stream chat about this unit, because I feel like people get the conversation mixed up when they discuss a unit's, I guess, not viability, but overall strength versus being a necessity. Because I feel like a lot of people mess up that conversation. A unit's strength and the unit's like necessity levels aren't the exact same thing. Now, mind you, for a free to play, right, you want to go for what can give you a bigger bang for your buck, which makes sense. But a lot of people downplay the overall strength of this unit just because there are other options that exist, which is something that I don't agree with, because you almost don't see it with any other DPS. Like, for example, obviously we have like the step downs for Maxi, which is Toji, and we obviously have like, you know, a filler, not a filler, but like a side unit that could potentially stand in and do some damage. Mahito, right? TODO has had like some frequent back-to-back contenders, right? And a lot of people just immediately dismiss TODO just like off of the first glances of these other units. SP Green Miwa, very strong unit. I've had a lot of people tell me A5 Green Miwa over A1 TODO. I will tell you this, I've used both units. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I do think they are in the same ballpark. A similar ballpark, but Miwa is not like overcoming TODO at A5 versus his A1. Especially, this is very prevalent to see, especially during the Calamity event. Like, TODO was a key factor in borderline every single top 100 players run. Even mine, where I finished top 100 in my server, right? TODO was a key factor to your entire run. Whatever damage this man did, that decided everything. Everything was decided by TODO. Now, mind you, back when TODO first came out, he was one of the units that I was screaming, you must summon for TODO or you're going to make me sad, alongside Mahito. That was my general advice. I'm like, if you don't summon for TODO, y'all are all going to make me extremely upset. Because back then, I mean, floor 82, horrible, absolutely terrible. Because there wasn't really a lot going for you in that moment. I mean, it's a debuff stage, debuff taijutsu, right? Don't get me wrong, back then, OG Green YUJI somewhat benefited off this floor because he has that crit resist decrease that he can smack on the boss and it's not nerfed, unlike on floor 88, where his crit resist decrease eats a harsh cut. But the main issue with this floor is that the boss attacked 4 times. So it was 4 times of just your health bar going down. TODO decided to come in and he alleviated some of that pain because he was able to counter the boss, because TODO has a universal single target counter. It doesn't matter if it's a melee attack or a jujutsu attack, he's countering it. And he made this floor extremely easy. And an 88 was already made chump change by the combination of OG, SP, YUJI, and TODO. And as time goes on and we keep getting more green supports, TODO just keeps clearing this floor faster and faster and faster. There's just no doubt about it. TODO's always been that guy, and he still is that guy. And majority of like the team comps you'll see me use in the game, I do use TODO, and I do have Miwa. So I kind of use both of them on the exact same team. They benefit each other a lot. Because a lot of people wonder, it's like, Jay, you'll run YUJI, Miwa, and TODO, right? But you'll run it in the order of Miwa getting the best friend protection instead of YUJI. Why do you do that? And obviously because Miwa does have that ultimate that does provocation. So TODO is able to counter that and Miwa is able to counter that. So there's like a double layer of protection for the unit, right? So not only does TODO play well with his own duo, which is either Himi or Himi, Todo also plays well with the new unit that people think completely overcome him, right? Which I don't believe Miwa has completely taken Todo's place. It's just that she is a very, very stupidly strong free-to-play option overall. It's just when you put Todo in his ideal environment, he just comes out looking stronger. He clears faster, right? The record for hard sweep, right? For green hard sweep is held by Todo. I'm pretty sure the fastest sweep clear in general is held by Todo, right? I'll put up a screenshot of like the 8-turn, I believe it's 8-turn hard sweep clear, Todo main DPS, and it obviously uses Miwa on the side, but that just means Miwa complements Todo's core team, and he's able to get the job done. Now, all this Todo glaze aside, Todo is not a necessity anymore, right? All this Todo glaze just for me to say you don't need to summon for Todo anymore because, well, sadly, just like Maxi, there is a thing called options. And unlike Maxi, right, his options are a little bit older, and his other option starts as a Jujutsu and then becomes a mix later down the fight. Todo's other options are another direct green taijutsu and a hybrid unit, right? One of the best hybrid units we have ever seen in this entire game's history, I will say, right? Which is kind of crazy to think about. One of the best SPs of all time, easily one of the best taijutsu units of all time, and easily one of the best hybrid units of all time, all competing for the same spot. Now, thankfully, Miwa does have that benefit where you can kind of just slap her on a team with Todo, and it's like almost her ideal team, right? Them working together alongside Yuji. But Todo is not a necessity. Now, did Todo show that he was him during the Calamity event? Of course, because like I brought up earlier, the mass majority of the top 100 teams used Todo during phase 1 for that massive overkill damage. That was the main, I guess you can say, defining factor for score. How much is Todo doing in the overkill section for you to get a really, really nice score? Like, I seen this guy drop a 200 million combo all with Yuji, you know, during that event period. This guy mattered a lot. But in the terms of current content, there's just so many teams that you can make to clear content. And green is really weird. Green is really weird because obviously in terms of Jujutsu content, green stops here. There's a hard stop right here on green content. And for Jujutsu, you can use Nanami. And Nanami curb stomps this floor with ease, right? Even at A0. And then with taijutsu content, we obviously have it here. Nanami could also clear this. Miwa can also clear this, right? Then we have 88. I already done my showcases on Nanami. Nanami can clear this. Miwa can also clear this. The only difference between Todo, Miwa, and Nanami is that Todo obviously just has that universal team protecting counter that obviously works on Jujutsu and Taijutsu. Nanami and Miwa have those Taijutsu counters. So you're fighting a boss like this, you're not going to get the benefit of their counters whatsoever, which is tragic, right? I feel like Miwa's counters are pretty important to her overall game plan. I noticed that when she's able to get a counter in on a boss, things just work out way better. Nanami's one of those units where it's like, yeah, his counter's cool, but it's not like it's a core part of his game plan, you know? Because the devs gave Miwa provocation on her kit for a reason, so you can get that counter. All right, it's just the name of the game. But that's the thing with a unit like Todo. He has so many benefits, right? It's just you have two other units that also play in the same ballpark, right? Which is kind of crazy because when all these units were first coming out, like I was holding Todo and Mahito in a very similar vein, right? Obviously, I had Mahito a little bit higher than Todo, but Todo was still up there. Like he was one of the two that I had in mind for everybody should pull for. Just simple as that. And for my bias of like, you know, Todo being one of my favorite units, I can't lie to you and say that, you know, all other content in the game can't be clear without Todo, because it's not true. She can do it, and he can do it. And that's kind of the whole issue, or like, I wouldn't say issue, but the dilemma, right? You have Todo, who is without a doubt the strongest, right, for singular taijutsu options. even through all of my testing, right? And all of my other, I guess you could say, research on other creators who do use TODO at that level, at just even A1 or A2, you still just have all these other options that can just do it. And that's it. Like, you don't need the pinnacle of the pinnacle when you can just do the bare minimum and pass by. All right. That was kind of like my main advice when I first started this channel, where it's like, okay, you can just go heavy handed and just, get the best of the best, or try and get the best of the best of for literally every category. But what can you do to just pass by, get those 300 cubes from tower, or get those sweep materials from when you clear hard sweep, and just call it a day? Because not everybody's like me and sitting at their desk and grinding away Phantom Parade. Some people want to boot up this game, maybe do a couple attempts at tower, try and clear that floor that they're stuck on, and call it a day. That's kind of like, I guess, some of this video advice is coming from, because on one side, I want to give advice to the people that aren't exactly sweating on this game, like clearing all content, making crazy team comps. And there's also the other side of the community, which are also like pretty sweaty, that also just wants the general advice. Okay, like, what can I do to make things better? And it's just, you have 3 options, and those 3 options are ridiculously strong. All of them are ridiculously strong. But Nanami has the benefit of being hybrid. Hybrid being, again, you can use him if it's a taijutsu stage or a jujutsu stage. Thumbs up. Congratulations. He works very, very well on all of them, especially because I showcased them on this channel, of course, right? And I mean, Miwa's kind of like the Terminator over here, Like, Miwa has the benefit of what other units that also have the ability to support, but also have the function, the main DPS, where it's like, they all come together for like this ultimate support DPS hybrid S team, and it's just broken. Like, Choso main DPS teams with a bunch of supports, like obviously Summer Megami boosted it up by a ton, but green support is broken, which is why every single one of these guys can kind of smack together the most ridiculous hard sweep clears you can see, or like some of the fastest tower floor clears you can see. And on top of that, we also have Ino coming to the game in the future for global. That will just boost this guy. Now, mind you, I haven't tried the unit myself. I don't know if I'll be able to recommend it to y'all, but Nanami also has like his specific support option coming to the game, because at first, when TODO dropped, you're like, oh yeah, like he's the support option for this guy, right? Like he's the backup for this guy. But then he dropped. Then he became the support option for TODO. Then we got, Miwa and Nanami, where Nanami was already cracked as is, but we didn't have a stat debuffer to see him truly shine. And Miwa was already super strong because she already had stat buffing attached to her kit, right? And she already had a complete team. Like the complete team, like it's already right here. And even then, she could just main DPS by herself without TODO. The only thing you'd be missing without TODO is that level of insurance with his skill too. And obviously TODO does a bunch of damage on his own as well, alongside his follow-ups. So there's little factors to take into consideration, but those little factors aren't like do or die, right? It's kind of just minor inconvenience. That's really a minor inconvenience or minor inconvenience. That's really your only choice, unless you have both of them, right? Now, obviously, for a unit like Nanami, he's already a pretty complete unit. Now, mind you, Ino, I've seen the clips, man. I've seen the Twitter clips of like the 93 mil Nanami solo on hard sweep. That's ridiculous, mind you. But we already have Summer Megami, and that kind of just completes like everything for this entire color category already at the moment. Like, I mean, mind you, we were already dunking on hard sweep before Summer Megami came out. I mean, all of Green Tower has been dunked on before that. He's kind of like a plan ahead type unit, We can kind of see a future where it's like, oh, if you don't have this unit, it's probably going to hurt really bad. But he benefits the most out of this, because he was missing a true stat debuffer, because all we had was Gaku Ganji, And don't get me wrong, he was Hemi, but 25 CE for a skill on an SR unit, that's real rough. So when it comes down to this conversation, is either of these units a must summon? Tragically, no. Maxi and Todo aren't must summons anymore. The only thing about these units, I will say, is that they're the strongest in their given category, right? They're the strongest in their given category, but there's other options that exist, and that completely overrides any other argument you can really have. Because unless you are a paid player who's like me and summoning for every single unit, pulling dupes for them even, you know, you're free to play most likely, or you're a light spender who likes to have fun with the game, right? So you want to plan out your summons accordingly. You want to summon for the best units around to try and clear through difficult content, because the more difficult content you clear through, the more cubes you get. The more cubes you get, the more you're able to summon. You get it? You know, obviously that's the main game plan. So is Maxi and Todo must summons anymore? No. Are they the best in their given category, in my personal opinion? Yes. Are there other options you can use over them? Also, yes. Did the supports given in their, I guess you could say, categories change their viewpoints, you know, from the community? For Maxi, no. For Todo, yes. Right? Because obviously Miwa operates as a stat buffing support alongside being a damage dealer, which changed almost everybody's mind on these two immediately. But with Maxi, the conversation didn't really change about him being a necessity or not from more supports being added, right? The conversation changed from Maxi. It's like, oh yeah, he's even less of a necessity because we're getting so many supports to make the old standards really strong. That's kind of that was the issue with him. The only change with Todo is that now we have a free-to-play answer and a hybrid answer. And the hybrid answer is the scariest out of them all, because hybrid, again, you can use it for Jujutsu or Taijutsu content. Now, mind you, on JP, there is also this little, how do I say this? I wouldn't say issue in quotation marks, but there is hybrid cut content that exists. So not for too long, Nanami will be like the one solve all for every problem, right? Content may evolve in the future where you will just need a Taijutsu option or a Jujutsu specific option, right? Hybrid will not solve all problems. It's tragic because I made a video a couple months ago saying the great hybrid meta takeover is going to occur, which it kind of has, because we've had so many hybrid options just drop back to back to back to back. And in response to dropping all these hybrid options back to back to back, we get hybrid cut content, like excellent work, sums that. Excellent. Now go ahead and promote, you know, I guess you could say Taijutsu or Jujutsu specific DPSs so people can whip out their wallet again. You know, stuff like that. It's a little annoying in my opinion, but to be fair, like in terms of a balancing perspective, hybrid units are really broken, because it's like, why would I summon for a Jujutsu or Taijutsu specific DPS unit if I can just get one unit that solves all my problems? So that Billy Toho game, their answer to that is like, well, we'll just create content where you can't use these guys in the first place, or we'll create content that requires a lot of teams, so you should be summoning for all these other units in the first place. But thankfully, without Todo in a general like content space, you do have Miwa as an answer. The only issue you may have with Miwa is that obviously she does fire like rapid fire ultimates. Like if you have like-minded sisters on Miwa, she gets her ult super fast. And mind you, getting that ultimate super fast is really, really good. The only issue is if you're not going against a boss that has a Taijutsu attack, because she won't be able to counter, she won't be able to protect herself. So she's just eating 2 attacks straight to the forehead, right? Just straight up. You could just have like a healer, or if you're just playing the speed blitz, kill the boss before they kill you type of thing, which is completely reasonable in the modern meta, right? That's something that you would have to take into consideration, because, you know, you can run Todo Miwa. Todo got her with that insurance. Nanami has his own insurance, because not only does Nanami have a Taijutsu counter, he also has the benefit of having a resurrection. So Nanami has 2 layers of insurance for when, like, you know, he gets rocked in the jaw. Miwa's insurance is you got to kill the boss before it kills you, and Todo's insurance is he'll kill the boss before the boss kills him. Yeah, that's his insurance. But that's kind of my, I guess, little ramble. I know some of you guys missed the long form commentary videos where I just kind of sit at my desk and talk to myself for a given period of time. So hopefully the OG It's Ghost Story fans enjoy this little commentary ramble. It's been so long since I did these. It feels so weird, but kind of refreshing. So let me know in the comments down below. Are you guys going to be summoning for Maxi and Todo? I personally think these two are the strongest, and they're given specific categories that they specialize in, but it doesn't make them a necessity, which is tragic. It is a very, very tragic thing, right? Breaks my heart. And y'all know I love Todo. Y'all know I love Todo. But like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord server. It's in the channel bio. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers. So if you can sub up, help your boy out, maybe 3K before 2027, that'd be really cool. But it's been Jay, aka its anniversary story. But most importantly, I will see you guys later.